It is Sunday, the 10th of January 2021, and I've been receiving a lot of messages these last few days from people asking me to comment on what's going on in the world, obviously in the wake of the events of Wednesday, 6th of January in Washington, D.C., everything that's happened in the wake of that, all the fallout from it, and likely future events playing out from this point forward. First of all, I'm very flattered that people would place any value in whatever I've got to say on this subject. It's very gratifying. But the honest answer is, I'm just the same as most people out there, in that I just don't know what has been happening, and I don't know how things are going to pan out from this point forward. And the truth of the matter is, most people watching this won't know either, and most people that are making YouTube videos and podcasts and other broadcasts about current events, they don't know either. Because unless you have direct inroads into the inner circle of the parties concerned in these events, or unless you have direct intel coming to you through connections, you are not going to be in a position to know for sure what's happening and what is likely to happen. You're left with your best guess. And one thing I've never wanted to do is to put out misinformation. I don't want to be making videos that give people specifically false hopes that are then going to be dashed further down the line. So I've always been very cautious and very guarded about making predictions in my videos and about making bold, definitive statements to say, this is definitely what's happening, this is definitely what's going to happen. There are enough pundits out there doing that, and the internet is currently drowning with them. And like I say, the truth is, most of these people don't know any better than me, or most people watching this, what is going on and what is going to happen. They're giving it their best guess. So you will have certain pundits who will tell you that black is black. Then you'll have other pundits that will tell you, no, black is white. And then you'll have another group that will tell you, no, black is a shade of grey somewhere between the two. So the truth of the matter is, they can't all be right. So either one of them is right and the other two are wrong, or all three are wrong. Because all three can't be right, and even two can't be right. And yet each one will swear that they're giving you the definitive answer. They can guarantee these things are happening. You can trust them. You have 1,000 different voices telling you this now, coming out of the woodwork, and we somehow have to try and make sense of this. So it's a complete minefield out there, and the truth of the matter is, I'm having to detachedly observe, cautiously, from the sidelines along with everyone else. And we will get to know in the days ahead what the truth of the matter has been. I'm not even going to go into specifics because people will already have their own ideas as to what's going on. I can't be of any assistance in adding to that because, like I say, I don't want to be responsible for misinformation, and I don't want to be held to account if I state that something is going to happen which proceeds not to happen. We really are at a precarious point right now, and it seems there is very little we can do other than watch and observe how things pan out with great interest and great attachment to it. I can only tell you how I feel things are going to pan out. And I will say that I feel that evil and darkness is going to fail in the weeks and months ahead. I don't want to get any more specific than that, but I've never been someone that comes down on the side of doom and gloom. I have my days when the doom and gloom gets to me, but I've always, with these videos, tried to take a responsible standpoint and give people hope and optimism and reasons for positivity when those reasons are there. I don't want to add to all the doom and gloom and dread that's around. There's enough people out there spreading all that stuff without me having to add to their number. But despite the seemingly unsurmountable odds facing us, mankind, humanity, at these times, because it's clear what is going on right now, without getting too specific about it, we are witnessing the attempted unfolding of Chinese communism all over the world. That is what this whole agenda that we've been embroiled in for the past several months is all about. It's the onset, it's the slow attack coup of Chinese communism that is trying to take everything over. So these seem to be odds that we can't possibly measure up to, and that we don't stand any chance against. But despite these seemingly unsurmountable odds, I still remain optimistic that humanity, creation, goodness, God, truth, freedom is going to get this. I have to believe that, and actually the more people that do focus their intention on that kind of outcome, the more likely it is that we will bring it into physical manifestation. But I feel that evil and darkness is coming to the end of its days, and it knows it. We are witnessing a control system that is panicking, and in its desperation is throwing everything it's got at us all at once. And they've shown their hand. They've made themselves so obvious now to anyone that's paying attention, to anyone with the eyes to see. The game is on, and there is only going to be one winner. And I cannot accept that I, my family, any of my friends, any of my close personal circle, and anyone else out there actually incarnated into reality at this point in the timeline to live our lives as slaves in a communistic nightmare dystopian future. I can't accept that. So the opposite has to be the case, which is that mankind is going to win back its freedom and truth is going to come to the fore. I feel that is what's in store, but I don't want to put any fine detail on it in terms of what that's going to look like or what the timescale may be. And collectively, to be honest, humanity doesn't deserve its freedom based on the chosen behaviours of the vast majority of people. The universe has mechanisms in place. It's called universal law, it's called natural law, it's called karmic law, many different labels, to ensure that appropriate consequences get dished out to us in terms of what we experience in physical manifestation according to our level of consciousness and will and our chosen thoughts, behaviours and actions. And unfortunately, the vast majority of people have demonstrated throughout this scamdemic that they don't have any value to place on truth, freedom, their own personal freedom, and the freedom of their loved ones, which is just incredible. Truth, freedom, justice, love, self-respect, dignity, not a lot of value placed on these things by the vast majority of people. And so collectively, we as a society get what we deserve. The Creator, I feel, wants to favour truth, freedom, justice, love, and wants us to have experiences in line with these values. But we have free will, and the will has to be there on our part to experience all these things in order for them to be facilitated to us. And unfortunately, although there are a small number of us that do place value on these things and do take the personal responsibility to live in accordance with what we know to be right action, we get lumped in with all the others and we're held in collective punishment with everyone else. But the small number of us that do favour truth, freedom, right action and are trying to align ourselves with creation, with nature in that way, I feel that we are going to see to it that that is our ultimate destiny and that is our experienced physical reality. Freedom is going to flourish. Truth and right action is going to be embraced and are going to be the watchwords going forward on whatever timescale that involves. And so those of us that take responsibility for these things are going to ensure that things turn out that way, and everybody else that came along for the ride will have to thank us later. It can often be that the biggest opponents, us truth seekers and us individuals that try and align ourselves with right action, the biggest opponents that we face aren't even the perpetrators of the evil and the darkness and the mind control that seek to harm us. It's other people. It's everyone else. It's our fellow slaves on the plantations, the masses of people, the great unwashed, useless eaters as they see us, because these people are just so easy to manipulate, because they've not taken personal responsibility to comprehend how things like mind control and propaganda work, and techniques like gaslighting and psychological manipulation, which is what's been done to us and continues to be done throughout this whole situation. So we find that people that should be our fellow brothers and sisters are actually serving as our greatest enemies in terms of winning back our freedoms in this situation that we find ourselves in. But I do remain optimistic that ultimately it's all going to work out. And look at the lengths that the control system, the evildoers, are going to now, to try and keep the resilience of the human spirit down, through the knowledge that there will always be a faction of us that can't be got that easily. They're never going to get all of us. There's always going to be resistance from a few of us. And even in spite of their best efforts, in terms of them pulling out everything they've got from their toolkit, from their weapons arsenal, look at what they've done to us for the past years, decades, centuries, millennia. The additives in the food and drink, the ways they've dumbed us down through dropping the heavy metals in the chemtrails, fluoride in the water supply. Look at all the electromagnetic pollution, all the frequencies, all the Wi-Fi and microwave signals that we're absorbing into our minds and our bodies the whole time. Look at all the mind control, the propaganda coming through the so-called educational system and coming out of the mouths of government liars. Look at the so-called medicine from the pharmaceutical industry and the way that does great harm to people and doesn't make them well, as is claimed. The inversion the whole time of what should be the case. And yet, even in spite of all of this, in spite of the best efforts of those that seek to harm us, there are still some of us, there's still a faction of mankind that is able to break through all that can't be got with the mind control. The resilience is there, the resistance is there, the spirit is there. It can't be broken, it can't be got. And it's that value, it's that dynamic that's going to see this whole thing through. It's that aspect of humanity that the evildoers can't comprehend. They can't relate to it because they're psychopaths. They have no empathy. They don't have their full humanity intact. They can't predict it because it's maverick and it's free-flowing and it's unpredictable in that way. And they're afraid of it. And we can see that they're afraid of that divine spark in the human spirit from the fact that they're dumping everything they've got on us all at once and showing their hand. They've made it obvious who they are and what they're all about. And this brings to mind another song lyric. I do like to channel song lyrics from the ether, and the one that's come to mind on this particular occasion comes from the great Richie Havens. He was the first artist up at the legendary Woodstock concert in 1969, and he had a great song called What About Me? And he's talking about the very dynamic that I'm addressing right now. Got a few lyrics for you. He said, and this, bear in mind, this was 50 odd years ago, over 50 years ago, he was putting out these lyrics. You poison my sweet waters, you chop down my green trees, and the food you feed my children is the cause of that ill disease. My world is slowly falling down, and the air is not fit to breathe. And those of us who care enough, we have to do something. I mean, this could have been written yesterday, never mind 50 odd years ago. I can feel the future trembling as the word is passed around. We are going to stick up for what we do believe in, and we're prepared to be shot down. What are you going to do about me? What are you going to do about me? I feel like a stranger in the land where I was born, and I live just like an outlaw. I'm always on the run. Always on the run. They always got me on the run. And it just makes me think of the struggle and the fight every single day that we now have, that many of us have experienced these past several months. Every morning we wake up, it's a fight, it's a struggle. We've been forced into that corner. It has to be a fight because what's at stake is worth fighting for. And this faction of the human spirit that just can't be got that easily is going to see this whole thing through. So that's my answer as to what's going on, where things are going from here. If you want pundits' predictions as to what's going to happen on certain dates and, particular events that are going to play out, then there's plenty of these pundits that you can find elsewhere on YouTube and on the internet. For my part, like I said at the start of the video, I don't know how things are going to pan out, the fine detail of it, and you don't either, and neither do 99% of these pundits. They're guessing, they're talking heads out there just saying what they feel needs to be said. The only way to find out is to watch and observe, because we're at the stage now where, to a very large extent, events are out of our hands and they're in the hands of God. It's good versus evil. It's no exaggeration to say that that is the case, but we have to believe that good is going to win through. The alternative is not an option. It's always been about Team God. Make sure you stay on Team God.